All right, hi. Okay, now it's official. Hi, everyone. Welcome. As shared on Discord, for those of you who've been in Discord, and if you're not, you should join. We are going to use this creator dev meeting going forward as the rally.io community meeting. It'll be a space for creators, developers, and our like deep fam rally.io community to gather, get really important updates from us, like today's guest appearance from Bremner. This meeting link is available in the Rally.io community calendar, and we also always drop it in Discord in the sort of like day or so leading up to the meeting. We did for this meeting only because it was so important, sharing this 2022 roadmap. We also sent out an email, but in the future, that won't happen. So super happy to have you here. Today's agenda is we'll do some quick updates. We have a lot going on, believe it or not. We're like in week 2 of January, and there's tons happening. We'll spend most of the time hearing from Bremner, then we'll do Q&A. Some quick updates from me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephanie Pereira. I'm VP of Creator Success at Rally. I'm happy to say I do at this point know most of you here. I already shared the Rally community call, the RLY network community call that had previously been happening every other Friday. It's currently on pause. If you are interested in the sort of future of that call, I would recommend spending time in the RLY Network Discord and waiting for announcements there. Or the RLY Network Association also has a Twitter now, so you can follow them on Twitter. I heard from some creators and also just hanging out in Discord, there was some like, why haven't there been any coin launches for like 4 weeks? You'll notice we picked those coin launches up again this week. The holiday season is super slow. Believe it or not, no one really wants to be launching an entire economy over the deep, dark days of the holiday season. The Rally staff doesn't really want to either, but really it was led by our creators. No one was scheduling launches. So we said, cool, let's just like wait until January when everyone's fresh and new and ready. So don't be alarmed. That was an intentional holiday pause, and we're back at it. I did, because there's been a lot of chatter about NFT loading issues, I did want to say that it's been fixed. Thank you for your reporting and your patience, and it's definitely resolved now. And then one final note from me, which is, again, if you are in the Rally Discord, and by the way, if you're a creator and you're in the Rally Discord and you're not in the creators only section, DM me here in Zoom so I can add you. For the Rally community, we've shared an idea about pausing rewards where we see that the coin activity is pretty low on the creator's behalf. We've written out a very thoughtful document after talking to a bunch of creators and community members about what that might look like. And we shared our thinking in Discord and have created a temporary channel called the Lapse Creator Policy Temporary Channel, something along those lines. So if you want to see what we came up with and what the discussion has been, it's been really great. It'll be live for another week and a half or so. So please do come check it out. We'd love your opinions, feedback, kudos, anything, questions, comments, that sort of stuff. So I will hand it off to Brian. Mark, are you there? Oh, can't hear you. Can someone help Brian unmute? I can help you, I think. Can someone help him? No, still can't hear you, Brian? No. Okay, I'm going to present for you in the interest of time, if that's okay. And we'll work this out for next meeting.
Can we try it again?
Okay.
Hey, there I am. Hi, everyone. Great to see you all. Hi. I can unmute myself now. I was ready to type the update, but that is suboptimal. I'm excited. I'm Brian, the Director of Content and Education here at Rally. I just hit 2 months in and am having a total blast. I wanted to share some updates. Everything that you're seeing here is actually content from the Rally blog. It's rally.io/articles. My initial focus out of the gate has just been helping build up a really robust infrastructure of great interviews highlighting the work of creators, some case studies that show great ways to use coins from the community. as well as like some really cool how-tos from thought leaders and contributors outside of our immediate circle. The three that I've got kind of highlighted here are the most recent that we posted just this week. A conversation with Naomi and Mar with their WoW coin. Some really great stuff there. A piece from our very own Jason of Jason Coin talking about how to plan a coin launch with some great examples from the community. And then had a contributor from the Discord pop-up who was interested in dropping in some NFT launch strategies, talking specifically about hunting versus gathering as kind of the two different approaches there. Would totally encourage you to check them out. I'll drop a link in the chat coming up on this. Coming up next, we've got a really great Twitch streamers playbook that our pal Ramon helped us draft internally. And then a really neat thought piece on how to price NFTs coming out of the gate, especially utility NFTs. Always looking for more contributors. If anyone here is interested in contributing to the Rally content ecosystem, please reach out. I'm on Discord. I'm also on email. You can hit me with a note here on Zoom. Thanks a bunch. I look forward to highlighting more creators in the new year too. We'll keep working our way through the list of great folks we have here for those creator stories once our interviewer comes back online in the next week or two here. Thanks a ton. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, so this is a new slide, super long because it's a new slide. This will be a new part of this meeting going forward. We'll be reporting on the dev ecosystem on our funding updates. The stuff in green is stuff that the Rally staff has been leading, and all the other stuff has been community led. So we have been dipping our toes back into the bounty world. We have two bounties out and claimed. One is to take another whack at gated polling or voting. This is in response to a lot of the requests that we've seen on the Canny board around more DAO-like capabilities for tokens. So we've done that. And then we also have someone fulfilling a bounty for token gated Slack channels, which I know a bunch of you will be excited about. We've also, one of our community developers who's already built some great Discord bot tools has also come on board to help us with some Twitter bot, YouTube bot-like tools similar to what you're familiar with Discord. And then working with Dave from Playcoin on building a creator coin checkout app, which will go live first, I believe. I don't think we've shared, so I won't say what the name of the company is. And then ideally with Shopify soon. And Dave, do you want to share a little bit more? Dave Young? Can someone, sorry, I should have prepped you, Joe. Can you unmute Dave Young?
Should be good now.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave, and I'd just like to say my name. Let's see. Talking a little bit about what the Developer Council has been able to fund. So once a week, we get on our dark hooded robes and go over the grant proposals that have been submitted to us. And we've had some pretty interesting stuff come across. What we do is we tend to look at those applications and figure out if the project is going to offer some sort of value for the creators on the platform, kind of what the teams are up to in terms of what they've built already, what creators are behind them, and of course the timelines that the projects are looking at building in, because we're trying to deliver value sooner rather than later with these projects. That being said, we've been able to get a few different proposals we've been able to fund quite well. So we have funded a WordPress gating project, which has some other CMS integrations coming out. So that's already been done by WordPress. So if you are running a WordPress site and you're interested in that kind of stuff, please reach out in the Dev General channel or Rally Discord or email, and we can get you in touch with that developer. The Play Arcade, which is a project that our team built, is live. So every creator now has access to a growing number of casual games, which you can use to engage your community and make some money with. We also have released the auctions and voting applications as part of the dev grant that we received this summer. We have the Got My project, which is gated live streaming and some social channels, and that is going to come somewhere around April. That's an interesting project because that came to us as a proof of concept that was already created, and they are reworking it for the Rally kind of economy. We also have Richard, who's been working on some really great tools that many of us have seen but not used enough. And he's been received a grant to do some excellent more work and doing some dashboard and other measurement tools and automation tools that a lot of people might be interested in on a more technical level. And we have a few other proposals that we're still reviewing in the council. So if we're building some great stuff with Rally and invite much more participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you to the whole Dev Council. For those of you interested in learning more about how to get a grant, go to our wiki and search grant. All the details will be revealed to you. Okay, so at this point, I want to hand it off to Bremner. Bremner, I think you can just go ahead and share your screen.
Yep. Give me 1 second. Can everybody see my screen, and is it in presentation mode?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for the opportunity to present about the 2022 vision for Rally.io. One of the core commitments that I want to make and that our team wants to make going into the new year is more consistent communication about the broader strategy and vision for Rally.io, and more depth on the performance, the KPIs, and the upcoming developments that we plan on investing in going into the new year. So really wanted to kick off the year by highlighting what were some of the wins over the course of 2021, what were some of the learnings that we had as a team, and then what are we going to do going into the new year to really expand the efficacy and the utility of token-based communities built on top of Rally. So with that, I'll dive into the 2021 wins quickly, and then I'll jump over into our 2022 vision and priorities. So what I wanted to highlight at the outset is that over the course of 2021, we drove meaningful, positive economic impact for the creators and the communities that were built on top of Rally. There are 266 creators on Rally right now, and more than 77% of those folks have built a 6-figure token-based community on top of Rally. And 6 creators on Rally have built token-based communities worth more than $1 million. Across the Rally Community Activity Rewards, we've disseminated more than $79 million in equivalent RLY to creators in their communities, which is about 2.3 million USD each week in RLY. So I realize that I'm touching on a few different data points, but I think the core message that I wanted to drive home is that over the course of 2021, that we drove really meaningful, positive economic impact for creators in their communities. And that is all because of the work of the community that's on this call today. Second, we had an opportunity to really develop a strong, robust, and vibrant community. We established a number of different touch points with our community. We have a creator advisory council, a community developer council, an innovative use rewards program, an active Discord, 4 people from the community that are now Rally ambassadors within that Discord. Essentially, we've begun fostering a really vibrant community across creators, developers, and broader community participants that is really exciting to see, especially at the early phases of a project like that and where Rally is at in terms of its development. We were able to bring on a number of different creators across a wide variety of categories. And what I think is most exciting about what we're seeing is that Rally's platform and the capabilities of social tokens and NFTs to build token-based economies can apply to a wide variety of different types of creators and communities. So we have folks that are in the sports realm, we have folks that are in the game streaming realm, we have folks that are musicians, we have folks that are podcasters, we have folks that are YouTube streamers. There's a wide variety of use cases, communities, categories, and types of creators that can benefit from token-based communities. And over the course of 2021, we were able to see that that thesis played out by working with a wide variety of creators across a wide variety of categories and segments. Additionally, while we were working on building the platform, building the community, and driving economic impact, we went through a process of expanding the entire RLY ecosystem. So in about mid-October, we went through a decentralization of the overall RLY network that increased the reach and utility of RLY to include Rally.io as the flagship application. And this community gathered here today is all about Rally.io. But it also includes SuperLayer, which is building and incubating new projects and ventures on top of the RLY network. It includes Unite.io, that is building the abilities for creators and communities in Asian markets to launch token-based communities. It includes the RLY Network Association that is governing the entire economic protocols of the RLY network. And it also includes the newly formed RLY Ecosystem DAO that is hoping to invest in new projects and initiatives built on top of the RLY network. The reason I share this is, one, it was a lot of work to get to this point where we have a broad and diverse ecosystem that is beyond just the Rally.io vision, but it is also a great validation of the work that we're all doing and an expansion of the opportunity that exists on top of the ROI network, which I think is really exciting for all of us who are early participants within this ROI ecosystem. Additionally, we invested a lot in different tools that help creators and their communities build token-based communities. And the most notable investment that we made and the launch that was really important in terms of our tool chest is Rally NFTs, where we're focusing on utility over scarcity. And what I mean by that is really thinking about the NFTs as part of these token-based communities as the utility assets, the goods, the services that sit within a token-based community. And when we were just a social token platform, we really were only one side of an equation when thinking about an entire token-based economy. We were focusing on sort of the money, the fungibility in the form of social tokens, and we were missing the form of goods and services in the form of NFTs. And by offering our rally.nft marketplace, that opens up an opportunity for us to truly create cohesive token-based communities, inclusive of both NFTs and social tokens. And a lot of work has continued to go into the NFT platform to make it an easier experience, both for community members and people who are looking to acquire NFTs, as well as the creators that are looking to offer NFTs. And we recognize that there's a lot more work that needs to be done in terms of making it super seamless on both sides of that equation, and then also driving additional utility use cases for the NFTs that are offered through the Rally.io marketplaces. Through the middle of the year, we also evolved our brand and expanded our reach. So for those of you who are here prior to the Rally.io rebrand, we really wanted to create a website and an identity that expand a wide variety of different creative pursuits, whereas our old identity was much more focused on gaming and crypto, and it was a little bit of a barrier to entry for creators from a wide variety of different creative pursuits. But there's a lot more work that needs to be done from our brand and our website identity, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. But it's also really exciting to note that over the course of 2021, we had nearly 2,000 media placements in some really fantastic publications that helped expand the notoriety and the visibility of what we're all building together and the value of token-based communities for creators and their communities. And then finally, we had the opportunity to establish some groundbreaking alliances with UTA, a variety of other creators, artists, celebrities, and athletes. And in the process, we increased our social reach about tenfold, which is a really great opportunity for us to have a area where we can broadcast the great successes of these token-based communities on Rally's platform out to the broader community and help grow the understanding of what token-based communities can do for creators in their communities. And then finally, one thing that I'm really excited about and proud of is that over the course of the year, we built a world-class team at Rally.io in order to support the creators and communities that you work with. Over the course of the year, we brought on 37 people across a wide variety of different departments, essentially building certain departments from the ground up. We established a senior team with a ton of experience and passion for creators, and also a ton of experience and passion for Web3. And then we scaled out the supporting functions around finance and accounting and people ops to create a more structured experience across the entire organization and a more diverse culture so that you can engage with Rally in a meaningful way. And this is just a picture of an offsite that we had. For the first time ever, the Rally.io team had a chance to meet in person. Well, the Rally.io team, since I joined in February of last year, had a chance to meet in person. And it was really exciting for us all to get together as a team and get to break bread and also talk about our vision for 2022. So I'll jump into that. Just to sort of reflect back quickly on 2021, 2021 was a year of bootstrapping the platform to a place where we were able to effectively launch token-based communities inclusive of social tokens and NFTs. During the course of 2021, the market and the understanding of the benefits of crypto for creative communities accelerated extremely quickly, and a lot of the assumptions that we made at the outset of 2021 might have shifted underneath our feet. And so at the end of last year, as part of that offsite that I just mentioned, we brought together the entire team and especially the leadership team to think about what were some of the learnings over the course of 2021 that we now want to include in our vision for 2022, and the updated assumptions that we need to take into the new year in order to inform our priorities. And one of those things that we were really trying to think about is, now that we have both social tokens and NFTs, what is our core value proposition, and how do we articulate that in a way that it isn't just social tokens or isn't just NFTs? And so what we've landed on is that Rally is really trying to empower and put more value into the hands of the communities that build that value. And the way that we do that is by helping creators create, launch, and manage token-based communities, and have those token-based communities be comprised of both social tokens and NFTs. And the way that we do that is that we partner with the ecosystem of folks, creators, developers, the broader creative ecosystem, the Web3 native infrastructures, in order to enable utility and interoperability for these token-based communities. And I'll talk a little bit about what I mean by that in a second. But the reason that I share that is that we really needed to get the entire team together after all of this change over the course of 2021 to then reframe and reset what is our vision going into 2022. So with that, our top 5 priorities for 2022, and these are in no priority order, which I know is frustrating, top 5 priorities in no priority order. But the first thing I'll talk about is that we have a priority to launch and grow successful token-based economy or token-based communities with a strong focus on the US market. And I put an asterisk there to say, right now, we're focusing predominantly on the US market, especially for community leaders and creators. One, because that's really where a lot of the opportunity lies today. And 2, we think that we really need to nail the launch and growth of successful token-based communities with US-based creators to start. That doesn't necessarily mean that we won't expand to international markets at some point within the year. And it also definitely doesn't mean that these creators can't have communities that exist outside of the US. So community expansion can be global, but creator expansion is predominantly focused on the US market. In order to do this, in order to launch and grow successful token-based communities, we need to first define successful token-based communities and build systems to foster and protect these economies. The second is to onboard new creators who are passionate about Rally and who lean into launching, building, and growing their token-based community with us. And I think one thing that we learned over the course of 2021 is that we were going out to a lot of creators who were on different phases of their migration into Web3 and different moments in their embracing of a token-based community. And so one of our objectives is to work with creators who are already on that journey and looking to launch, build, and grow their token-based community with us. I think there was a lot of pulling in 2021, and in 2022, we want it to be a lot of partnership with the creators that we're launching on the platform. The third is building a data-driven culture and tracking that data and communicating those key metrics to critical internal teams, creators, and community members. I recognize that we haven't done a great job over the course of 2021 of exposing data to our community. And so going into the new year, we're going to start publishing and tracking KPIs that we can share in this call and in other forums on a consistent basis. And I'll talk about a little bit about what those KPIs are as we get further into the presentation. And the final thing here is launching compelling features that empower creators to own and manage their token-based economies. And I do want to call out that this presentation is not meant to be a product roadmap. These are the top 5 priorities for the organization going into 2022. And Chris is going to follow up at a later date with a very distinct product roadmap that aligns to these top 5 priorities with much more depth around what we specifically mean in terms of some of these features that we plan on developing, and also specific timelines. We're going to be much more transparent and open about that roadmap, timelines, and the actual structure of it. And I think you already probably have seen that Chris, in coming onto the team, has already been extremely open with the roadmap and the areas of investment from a product standpoint. So we'll continue to do that going into the new year. Second priority is building the platforms and operations to launch and grow natively Web3 token-based communities with excellent creator and community experiences and capabilities. The first thing on this list is to become a multi-chain platform. So as most of the folks on this call likely know, Rally.io operates on a sidechain environment, which means that there are limitations towards interoperability with mainnet experiences. So one of our top priorities for 2022 is to make Rally.io a multi-chain platform. Now, that doesn't just mean that we're going to be an Ethereum-based platform. It is a multi-chain platform with agnosticism of a variety of other chains. There is a need for us to prioritize which chains to work with and on what timeline and what the specific scope of that compatibility looks like. And so what I am saying here is that we are committing to being a multi-chain platform in 2022. What I'm not saying is which platform that is right now and on what timeline and what the scope of that is, because that will come as part of Chris's product roadmap. But I do want to make it clear that that is a commitment for Rally in 2022. Second thing is to define, productize, and scale the creator and community onboarding flows. There's a lot of manual processes and handholding that needs to go into both the creator and community onboarding flows. And so we want to spend a lot of product resources to smooth both of those experiences. The third is to strengthen our open platform for community developers so that developers have the API sets, the documentation, and the capabilities to build on top of us in a much more meaningful way. And we're already doing a great job of having some really compelling use cases being built on top of Rally, as Dave outlined earlier, but really wanting to strengthen that open platform for community developers. Fourth is expanding our regulatory and compliance capabilities and evaluating our current vendor stack and custodial principles. We recognize that there are a lot of various different regulatory and compliance aspects to what Rally.io does, and that many of our users encounter those as they navigate through the platform. And so it's important for us to continue to expand those regulatory and compliance capabilities, but also evaluate where we might need additional or different vendors in order to supply those experiences in a experience that is world-class and excellent, as I mentioned at the outset of this. Productizing backend capabilities for token-based community creation and management. A lot of the actual setup and management of the token-based community is kind of held behind a wall right now. And we need to expose more of those capabilities to creators and community leaders so that they can adapt their economy and their token-based community as they see fit. So in terms of the creation process, having more configuration and ability to set up those systems. And then in terms of the management process, having more visibility into how the token-based community is performing and areas for adapting and enhancing that. Related to that, we need to decouple backend capabilities from the front-end user experience. I think one thing that is leading to this inability to expose some of those backend capabilities to community leaders is that right now our backend is very close to our front end. And so we need to decouple those two things so that we can have things that feature in the end user experiences be feeding off of our backend capabilities rather than the two being nestled together. And then finally, continuing to invest in the foundation of Rally's platform to address platform usability, stability, security, and scalability. This is core to everything that we do from a product standpoint, that we are continuing to build the foundation for the platform so that it is usable, stable, secure, and scalable. So the next priority is evolving Rally's brand to become native within Web3 culture. As I mentioned, we went through a migration of our brand in 2021 that made us much more open to the broad creative ecosystem. But what we haven't yet done is land that brand within the Web3 culture and communities. So first, the thing that we have to do in order to do this is foster diverse and inclusive culture within the product, company, and community, build in conversation with our community, progressively moving towards a model of community ownership, establish a leadership position within Web3 culture and communities, and continue to be a leader within the creator economy. I think we have done a really good job of establishing ourselves as a leader within the creator economy, but it's now translating that leadership position into the Web3 culture and communities. And that's a different way of speaking with the community than might exist for the Web2 creator economy. And then building in conversation with our community, a lot of the work that we're already doing with our creator advisory council, our developer council, our community calls, our sharing of the roadmap is with the intent of moving to a model where we have much more of an open dialogue with our community around what we're building and what's important. And that we also recognize that in the migration from Rally.io into multiple decentralized entities across the ROI network, that there's an opportunity for us to explore other models for progressive community stewardship and ownership. And so I don't have much more to share there, but know that that is a commitment from our perspective to progressively move towards a model of community ownership. So moving on to the next slide. We have two more priorities. The fourth is to establish a Rally.io business model that enables a clear path towards becoming self-sustaining. For those of you who were following along as we went through the decentralization in Q3 of 2021, one of the challenges and opportunities that was presented to the applications that are built on top of the RLY network is the need to map out a sustainable business model for Rally.io or other applications that are built on top of the network by the end of 2022. And so from our perspective, we're taking that opportunity and looking at various different Web3 native revenue streams that we can employ as we continue to build out our product suite, so that we can be a self-sustaining entity. That doesn't necessarily mean that we are chasing profitability or some type of exit. It's much more around becoming self-sustaining so that we can continue to foster and grow the platform, the tools, the services, and the teams in order to support the creative communities that are built on top of Rally. Related to that, one thing that I'm working on is mapping out alternative and additional funding options to fuel this expanded vision. So figuring out, are there opportunities for us to bring in additional capital, hopefully in natively Web3 ways, to expand the opportunities for investment that Rally makes in a wide variety of the different tooling, services, and teams that we're bringing on in order to meet this expanded vision. And then the final priority is to define and prioritize Rally.io's community stewardship and governance perspective and establish timelines and milestones. As I mentioned a couple slides ago, we really want to build in concert with our community, and we also want our community to be stewards of Rally.io's organization and product. And we believe that there are additional models and additional ways in which we can make that a reality through a variety of different stewardship and governance models. But what we're committing to in 2022 is establishing timelines and milestones for those community stewardship and governance models, so that the community of creators and developers and folks that are on this call can understand what we mean when we talk about community stewardship and governance, and then can participate when and if those things come online. So those are our top 5 priorities for 2022. I'll quickly touch on our KPIs that will help us understand whether we're tracking against this mission, which right now, these are the things that we're tracking from a KPI standpoint. And these might adapt and change as we continue to learn more. But one of the things that's important for us to track on a consistent basis is the total RLY on the sidechain, essentially the total amount of RLY backing these token-based communities, because that gives us a sense of how well these communities are performing and how much participation they're driving from their community participants. We're also going to be tracking net organic RLY, total creator coins held in USD equivalent, total creators, total Rally.io accounts, total creator coin holders, total amount of community transactions, so the overall vibrancy within a given community, and then the market price of RLY. And what we're planning on doing is getting this data in a place where we can actually be sharing it in these calls, and then hopefully at some point getting to a place where we can be sharing this in more of a public stats page. So expect much more data and much more consistent reporting on these KPIs in order to understand how we're performing against those priorities. So quick next steps. We really want your involvement in this process. So I'll be sharing out these 2022 priorities on the RLY forums this afternoon to facilitate a discussion and feedback. While the RLY forums are really reserved for the RLY Network Association, we wanted to use the forums so that we can have a really fantastic dialogue, but also so that it's stored for posterity and perpetuity. So we'll be using the RLY forums for that dialogue rather than in Discord. We'll share out Q1 priorities or Q1 work streams later this month. And that will also coincide with product strategies, go-to-market strategies, and those types of things. And then, as I mentioned, we'll share the KPIs and community calls, and then hopefully a public stats page at a later date. So I realize I said a lot, and I will pause there. I'm going to take my screen sharing off so I can see folks. And I believe we had a Slido link, correct, Stephanie, that people can ask questions. So I haven't had a chance.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. I was looking through the chat, and then
You can go in the chat. I can, but can you see the Slido, everyone?
can.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Awesome. So we can handle all these questions in line, and feel free to upvote any of the questions as you see fit. And yeah, please feel free to add in any additional questions by going to slido.com and that code 957990. So the first question is the price of RLY. It is lower than when any of us got on. When ETH and BTC drop, RLY drops. When ETH and BTC rise, RLY drops. We need 2022 projections, please. So the first thing I'll address is we can't give 2022 projections because we don't necessarily have a prediction on where the price of RLY is going to trend. And what I also will mention is that the price of RLY is tracking in relatively with the overall crypto market going into 2022. But as you saw in our KPIs, we will be tracking the price of ROI because we realize it is a backing mechanism of the token-based communities on the platform, and it also helps fuel all the investments that we're looking to make across the organization. So I don't know if there's anybody else on the Rally.io team who has anything additional to add on that. Okay. So Jeremiah asks, any stats on how many creators UTA has brought to the Rally network? I don't have those top of mind, but I know that they have brought a number of creators onto the Rally network. And what I can do is talk to the partnerships team to see how that partnership is performing and ask them to present something or post something at some point in Discord. Original vision was to have thousands of creators and self-service by end of 2021. Clearly that didn't happen. What went wrong? What's the new plan? So I would say that nothing necessarily went wrong, but the plan was set at the very outset of 2021 with relatively limited data. And what was limited in our evaluation was, one, that the market was more ready for social tokens at the time when we initiated our outreach to creators than we found when we were in conversation with these creators. A lot of folks were excited about crypto, they were excited about NFTs, but when talking about launching a fully token-based economy or token-based community, many of these creators got blocked at, that seems like a lot of work, that seems like a lot of friction, and we're not necessarily ready to do that as of now. Additionally, I think we were in the process of trying to find what were the appropriate characteristics for a successful creator with a token-based community. And so in discussions with many creators, they came back to us with their plans on how they might want to launch their token-based community. And it became clear that there wasn't really an understanding of what a token-based community required from an investment standpoint on their side. So what has happened over the course of Q3 and Q4 is that we've been prioritizing much more of our time and energy on the folks that are leaned in to establishing successful token-based communities to develop the playbook for how a token-based community should perform and what are the various different forms of utility that are needed for that token-based community. And then using that as a rubric and a playbook going into the new year to then apply that to a wide variety of creators. But I think the commitment in terms of numbers was was built off of relatively limited data and a assumption that the market was readier for social tokens at that point in time than it is now. The self-serve component, one thing that we have been working at, and Claire on Stephanie's team has been doing a great job of working through, is operationalizing the onboarding flow for creators as they sign up via the organic funnel. So people who are signing up to the organic funnel have a lot of various different steps that need to be taken in order to launch effectively. As part of our decentralization from the RLY network, there were a lot of points of manual process between the RLY network and Rally.io that have been addressed over the course of 2021 so that we can more seamlessly launch social tokens on Rally.io. And then from there, we can begin to productize a lot of the various different self-serve components. What we found is most creators needed to be handheld through the process. And as a result, self-serve was not a priority in terms of the investment of resources because most of our resources were invested in hand-holding those creators through the process. So The scale in terms of number of creators that we were looking to bring on was a little bit off in terms of the assumptions and the data that we were operating off of. And then the need for self-service at that moment in time was a little bit off in terms of the order of operations. We really needed to operationalize the onboarding flow, handhold folks through that onboarding flow, ensure that their token-based communities were successful, and then have the knowledge and data to scale that out into a self-service funnel. It has been radio silence for months in terms of brand progression and creator activity, with a corresponding decline in buzz in the community. How can we hype? I don't know if I necessarily agree with the radio silence. And what I will highlight is that over the course of Q3 and going into Q4, there was a lot of mentions of Rally and the overall token-based community concept in publications across a wide variety of different outlets, and that we've seen some significant creator launches over the course of Q3 and Q4. That said, Q4 is notably going to be quiet in the creator ecosystem. What I've seen in my experience at Patreon is that there is always a lull in Q4 in terms of buzz and focus and attention and time and energy for creators to launch new initiatives. So I think that's a natural seasonality. How can we hype? I think what we're really trying to do going into the new year is broadcast this message and vision for Rally and for token-based communities, educate our communities as creators about the value of a token-based community, onboard additional creators who are equally leaned in to the concept of token-based communities, put resources from Rally's standpoint behind those creators to help broadcast that vision and direction. And then also expand our reach in terms of appearances at events, appearances within media and those types of things. But I wouldn't necessarily characterize it as radio silence. And I would say that the decline in buzz in the community is likely a result of seasonality, and that a lot of the plans going into the new year are with the intent to drive up additional buzz. One thing I'll also acknowledge is that when I was brought onto the project, I was brought on as an advisor on go-to-market, and then that quickly migrated into stepping in as the CEO of Rally. And a lot of my energy was then dedicated to building out the leadership team at Rally.io. And so now that we have this fully formed leadership team at Rally.io and a cohesive vision going into 2022, we now are in a place to really start running fast at a lot of these objectives and opportunities. But there was in Q3 definitely a little bit of a lull in general because of a lot of our focus was on the decentralization of the broader RLY network and the creation of these other independent entities to continue to grow the RLY ecosystem. So this question, how are you working on preventing liquidity of previous investors that are now vesting? Is that why the price is being repressed? What I would do here is actually point the direction to the RLY community forums. I think Kevin has a lot of really great documentation on how he's been engaging with the investor community around RLY. And one thing to note is that Rally.io is not, one, does not comment on price of RLY, and then two, is only one project built on top of the overall RLY network. And so most questions around price and investors and those types of things within the RLY network should be directed towards the RLY network as part of that thread. Is there any plan to have trusted applications have the ability to initiate transactions and have users accept transactions without having to rely on email? So that's a question as it relates to the developer community and our API capabilities. I don't have a specific roadmap as it relates to our developer API, but I know that that's something that will be a part of Chris's product roadmap. And as you might have seen, we've brought on some folks to manage those relationships with the developer community. And then also we have a new PM who's starting in the next couple of weeks to own the developer API. So I don't want to speak for those individuals myself, but I do know that there's a robust roadmap as it relates to the developer API. Are you partnering with Patreon? I can't really speak to that. There are a lot of conversations with Patreon, obviously, given my relationship with the organization, and also the shared vision to empower creators and provide them independent forms of monetization. But there's nothing explicit in terms of partnership that I can speak about right now. As the Rally ecosystem decentralizes into a horizontal entity structure, what measures are the association, DAO, Rally, Superlayer taking to ensure common cause? So I think a lot of those KPIs that you saw on the slide around what we're tracking in terms of our success, except for the Rally.io sort of accounts and those types of things that we're tracking, are shared with the other organizations across the RLY network. And I know that Amit and the rest of the RLY network team are looking to establish an understanding of all the common metrics that each of the applications are tracking towards, and hopefully going to be able to publish something similar to the KPIs that Rally is tracking, so that we can have broad network visibility into metrics that matter to the network. But overall, the primary metric that the RLY Network Association likely is tracking is the total RLY backing of the token-based communities that are built via the applications that are built on top of the RLY network. Next question is, what's the update on the Shopify integration? Creators urgently need the capability to sell physical goods priced in their coin. Stephanie, can I maybe ask you to answer the question?
Yeah, let me jump in. So Dave, thank you very much. Built an app. We're on pause a little bit with Shopify. There's surprise, surprise. There's some questions around compliance, and we just want to make sure that we're doing it right. It's been great to work with Shopify. They're such a mammoth actor in this space. To be able to get across the line with them will be huge. I will say that you may have noticed, we did just fund the ability to gate access on Shopify, which I think will also be huge. And that's coming in the next month. I think they're moving into testing in a few weeks. So if anyone has a Shopify store and wants to test that gating tool, as Dave said, drop in the developer channel in Discord and we'll hook you up. And then that payments app that Dave built, we are also testing with another small independent third party that's pretty amazing and has great functionality, and we're very excited about it. We think it'll be coming in the next few weeks. Again, it's a small business owner, so like many of us, took a couple of weeks off either to get really sick with COVID and or celebrate with family. So stay tuned. We will keep you updated.
Next question was, could you share your 3 to 5 year vision of how you see the Rally ecosystem shaping up? What are some of the ideal tools, investments that have to happen, be built? So I think one of the things that I didn't yet share as part of this presentation is the leadership team also established a vision for the world that we're trying to create around token-based communities. And that's something that we'll share in the coming weeks. But essentially, we believe that token-based communities put more value in the hands of the communities that build that value for the internet. And that the way in which we can help creators and community leaders is providing them the tools and services to create, launch, and grow token-based communities. And we need to partner with the ecosystem in order to provide utility and interoperability of social tokens and NFTs as the building blocks of a token-based community. And so really the thing that I think the ecosystem is going to help us with so significantly is driving that utility and interoperability. And so utility meaning how, as a holder of a social token or an NFT within a token-based community, do I gain some type of benefit as a portion of that community? And then as in terms of interoperability, how does that social token or NFT span across every single point of interaction with my community, and so that it doesn't have to be a whole net new experience that they're going and migrating to, but rather it appears wherever they already interact with the creators, wherever they already interact with the communities, wherever they already transact with those communities. So there was a large marketing budget from Q3 in reserve for deployment for visibility for the Rally ecosystem. Has that budget been deployed or plans to? So the marketing budget that was outlined as part of the initial marketing budget proposal that I made in, I believe, Q2 of this past year, we spent a decent amount of, not a decent amount of the overall budget, but we were spending alongside our plan through Q2 and beginning part of Q3. And then as part of the decentralization, we started to think about what is our updated vision and the direction that we want to take the brand and the marketing efforts going into the new year. So some of that budget is still in reserve. And actually a significant portion of that budget is still in reserve. And we'll be building programs going into the new year to help drive additional visibility for the Rally ecosystem. To that point, we actually did hire a new VP of marketing who's joining in a couple of weeks. As I stepped out of overseeing the marketing efforts, I didn't really have, just to be completely honest, I didn't really have the time, energy, and attention to focus on our marketing efforts. And so we brought in a new VP of marketing to oversee many of those marketing efforts. And then also with Brian, Mark on the team, and a few others, we are already kicking up a lot of exciting marketing initiatives around content, case studies, education, et cetera, et cetera. But to answer this question specifically, some of that spend was put on pause as we were thinking about what were the next phases for Rally.io marketing investment. You said that creators were not ready to launch tokens in self-service format. This reduces scalability. Can launch be made in a way where it's easier? Stephanie, I might ask you to talk a little bit about the operations that Claire's overseeing.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's actually really related to what Bremner was just sharing about the marketing budget. So Claire Avershall is amazing. We're so lucky to have her. She came on board at the beginning of November, and since then has taken on managing all of the inbound application flow. So from when someone applies for an application all the way through launch. As part of this, we cleaned up a little bit. Honestly, there wasn't a lot to clean up of the process. And the process itself, for like the mechanics of launching a coin, are pretty straightforward. You apply. Claire will look at your application. She's created a rubric to understand, like, will this proposal be successful? Understanding what it takes to have a successful coin economy on Rally. If she has a hunch, she's like, yeah, based on my rubric, this looks pretty good. She sends it to our payments partner, PTI, who then will do KYC with that applicant. We've noticed that people do sometimes get held up in that process. Many of you have bridged out or been through it yourself, so you know that you do have to upload some data, some documentation. We do like nudge people along the way. We do provide customer support. We provide reminders. From there, if they do pass KYC, they go to the Creator Advisory Council. We do reviews every single week with the Creator Advisory Council. They're meeting, in fact, I think now or in an hour. And I know we have 5 applications to review today, which is pretty standard. If it's been approved by the Creator Advisory Council, they're cleared for launch. They can literally fill out an onboarding application at that point, which is pretty straightforward, and launch within a week. We do launch windows twice a week, as so many of you have noted. So that process itself, it's pretty mechanical. We've ironed it out. We have a person who is personally, either through automation or through her own love, sweat, and tears, ushering people through. Related to something Bremner shared earlier, it's that what we've noticed is people aren't really prepared to launch. So we're whether it's understanding what it takes to get this going, whether it's having enough utility in place for them to create like gated experiences or exclusive experiences, to be able to communicate with holders, all of that stuff. Right now, all of you creators in this call know that requires like a lot of time, dedication, strategic and creative thinking, cooperation with your community. So one of the big, I can tell you 100%, as Bremner just shared, we all spent a lot of time thinking about what does the first half of 2022 look like? And for the Creator Success team, it means answering that question. How is it that someone can enter into our onboarding flow, understand what simple things they can do to set themselves up with a really successful tokenized or token economy, and then from there launch? I don't think that exists today. So I believe, though, in the next month, 2 months, we're going to be super clear. We have so many great tools coming online. We have already a bunch that launched in the last quarter, and we could then take all those marketing dollars that you all were just asking about and put them towards driving more applications into the funnel. But right now, the mechanics are not bad. It's really like, what do you do once you're live? I do want to say one more thing before I hand it back to Bremner. Claire is going to start socializing. One thing we've also noticed is like there's the tools, but also there's like the team. So we're launching a mentorship program. So for anyone who's interested in mentoring or supporting applicants, we're launching a mentorship program that will coach people through like the 6-week process of like just before launch through like the weeks following launch, which we think will be really critical as well. So we'll share that via email and Discord as well. And if we would love any and all support with that effort.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of folks' time. We have about 3 minutes left, and I'm not sure how many more questions we have, but I see one that is an important question that I'd like to address. There's a thought that creator coins will be the way of the past as there's more utility in NFTs. What are your thoughts? We spent a lot of time as an organization and as a leadership team talking about the interrelation between NFTs and social tokens. And one of the things that we've identified, or that we believe, is that a effective migration into Web3 and an effective establishing of a token-based community includes both NFTs and social tokens. Economies can't function on a barter system where NFTs that have assigned intrinsic value by being non-fungible are the form of currency and exchange between a community. Now, some communities might stop at NFT-based communities. They might say, okay, great, I really just want to be an NFT-based community. But at some point, they might want to offer liquidity and offer exchange of value and offer the ability for the participants within the community to hold a fungible token that is a demonstration of their participation within that community that isn't non-fungible and that is able to be exchanged fungibly across that entire community. So when you think about social tokens, think about social tokens as the money token of a token-based community, and then think about NFTs as the goods, services, and property of that community. We've seen, and it's great, that most creators, or a lot of creators, have their eyes have opened up to the benefits of Web3 because of the proliferation of NFTs. But we believe, and we're already seeing, that many of these NFT-based communities are looking for that next phase of their community engagement. And the next phase is in the form of social tokens. So also related to that, some of the things that we've been thinking about is how do we make our NFT capabilities open to participation from folks who don't necessarily hold a coin. Right now, you have to hold a coin in order to be able to offer NFTs on Rally's platform. I'm previewing a little bit of the roadmap, but we recognize that the experience of a creator or a community leader is in adopting the tools of social tokens and NFTs at the moment in time where they need it for their community. And that over time, a community cannot function solely on a barter system where NFTs are the sole form of interaction and utility within the community. So think again, social tokens, money, liquidity, exchange of value within a community, NFTs, holdership of value, property, goods, services, recognition, and those types of things. But great question, and something that we spent a lot of time thinking through as a team. So it is 1 p.m. and I want to be respectful of folks' time. This is not the last time that we can have this conversation. And I think that these questions are really helpful. And I thank everybody for 1, attending, 2, listening to the priorities for the year, and then 3, sharing all these all these questions. As I said, we'll be having many more of these discussions and these community calls going forward. And you now know the top 5 priorities for the organization. I'll be sharing this out on the forums after so that you can provide feedback or any additional questions. I think we can also catalog these questions. So we'll figure out a way to respond to the questions at some point in time, be it in another community call or otherwise. Sorry, I'm not meaning to end the call. Stephanie, maybe I'll pass it over to you. But the one thing I'll say is thank you so much to everybody for taking the time to spend an hour walking through our priorities for the year. I'm so appreciative of this community and the community of creators, developers, and other participants. There's a lot of really active, vibrant energy that we want to work in concert with you to ensure that we can make these token-based communities as effective as possible. So thanks for all of your effort over 2021, and I'm really excited for a really positive 2022. Stephanie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Bremner. Everyone, it's so great to see this incredible turnout. We do send emails every other week. We do host this call every other week. If you're not getting those emails, if you're not for some reason aware of how to find this call, send an email to support@rally.io so we can make sure that we get you in the right list and the right channels. Chris Fortier will be coming online soon to talk about how all of this relates to our product roadmap as well. And as Bremner said, we'll figure out how to capture some of the questions that weren't answered and see about how we might answer them. Really enjoyed the level of questions and answers and thoughtfulness here. And thanks for all the hype and the love, and see you soon. Bye.
That's all.